Hey, what's up? If you're curious about using Sonos for your entertainment, whether that be a surround system or just a couple of them for watching TV or entertainment, you've definitely come to the right place. I'm going to give my review and opinion on it. I'm going to efficiently go over the pros, the cons, and then give a little bit of advice on whether or not I think you should buy this system. First, let me just give you a little background about what I know about sound so you have some good context of where my opinion is coming from and how much weight, if any, you should put on, my opinion and what I think of this system. So let me first just start off saying in no way, shape, or form am I an audiophile or some kind of sound expert. My sound experience is actually pretty limited. If anything, I would say my knowledge about speakers and sound in general is just a little bit above average of your normal person. The reason I bring that up is I think I'm a good representation of your everyday person that's gonna suddenly decide, hey, you know what, I want to get some surround sound, or I want to upgrade my sound system for my media consumption. Now, as of lately, my knowledge has drastically increased because I recently just moved, and one of the advantages of the new house I moved into is that it was pre-wired for speakers in case you wanted to do some elaborate system. In fact, the person who lived here before me did have a really nice system and an entertainment station down in the basement. You can see I have 4 speakers up in the ceiling right now, so that has led me to start really researching, amps, preamps, receivers, all these different kinds of speakers, all the different things that come into having a good sound system. And if you've never researched this before, it doesn't take long to realize this is going to be a painstaking, long endeavor if you want to do it right and really have a good understanding of what makes a good system. So the reason I bring that up and kind of walk you through that whole scenario is what I discovered is if you want good, it's very complicated. I'll get into that a little bit more as the video goes on, but that is also why I think Sonos has had such a great success. Is maybe this isn't their company motto, but the way I view it is their niche, what they do best is they attempt to make good simple. Let me elaborate more about that idea as I go through the pros and cons. So that's a great segue into the pros and the fact that this system is simple. Buying a surround system can be very complicated. Not only do you have to get good speakers and put them in the right place, but you have to have the right configuration of receiver, preamp, or amp to be able to deliver the right power to those speakers, and then you need to EQ them to make sure it fits correctly in the room and delivers the best sound. So not only do you need to research and get the right equipment, but you need to install it, and there's speaker wire that needs to be ran, that can be a whole nother mess in and of itself. And then furthermore, I feel like it's an ongoing endeavor. When you have guests over, the in-laws come over, it's like, oh yeah, well the way you work it is, this remote does that, and that remote does this, and make sure you put it on this sound profile if you're watching a movie because it's gonna, give you the Dolby Atmos or whatever it is. The point is it's pretty complicated. And Sonos is about as plug and play as you can get when it comes to having a sound system for your media consumption. They put everything together to where there is no receiver, there is no amp. You pretty much plug in the power to the device, and then you need to have the sound input signal plugged into this, and then the rest is done through the app. And it's all wireless and kind of has, high quality software to help manage all that complication and make it as simple as possible for you. I was able to take this out of the box, plug it in, get it up and running quicker than it took me just to connect my washer and dryer to my phone. And the point I'm trying to make there is you can tell the people at Sonos took a ton of time thinking about and developing the software to have the best user experience possible, with it being intuitive and just working. Where there's a lot of tech out there that I've personally used that just isn't simple and good like that. And it's really nice when you do get a product like that and you don't run into some problem that takes 15-20 minutes to figure out. So another pro that piggies back on that simplicity is that it's very expandable. So for instance, you could just start out with this Sonos Arc here, and then later if you wanted to upgrade it to have more bass with a subwoofer or to have more of that surround immersion with some rear speakers, you can easily do that. And when you get those add-ons, all you do is plug it in, open up your app, and it's like magic. It's going to connect it, and then it's going to EQ it properly for the media and what you're trying to do. Other than plugging in the actual power like into an outlet, it really is a wireless system that, at least for me, has worked phenomenally. They do give you the option to plug in an Ethernet cord into each of the devices in case you're worried about or have any Wi-Fi connectivity issues. But so far for me, I haven't done that and I haven't had any issues at all. It works really well. You could even expand it throughout your entire house and have Sonos speakers everywhere, or 2 different rooms with a sound bar or something, and make them all controllable from the app, and even the ability to have them work together if you want to listen to music and walk throughout your house or something like that. So the next pro would be the software is actually incredible. Not only with the stuff I was talking about before where it's easy, simple, expandable, but they have a thing called TruePlay, which stay tuned because that's also in my cons, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But when I first saw this, I honestly thought it was a gimmick and didn't think I'd be able to tell a difference. Basically what it does is you use a microphone on your iPhone or some Apple device, and you play sounds through the speakers, and it basically emulates your ear and how the sound sounds in a given region. And then it EQs and adjusts the speakers to deliver a higher quality, better sound. Now I set these up and I did that, and I really could tell a huge difference from before I did it to after I did it, which was again a shock because I really just thought it was like a gimmicky sales tactic. But like I said, it made an enormous difference. And I have a little hypothesis that maybe it's more drastic in the room where I watch TV here because, you know, it's really open on one side and closed on the other side, which creates that imbalance. And I feel like the TruePlay really did make it balanced where it feels like it's an equal amount coming from both sides. You know, sound bouncing off of this wall isn't louder than the sound dissipating in this open space over here. Again, for a non-audio expert, really impressive. I'm blown away with how good it sounds. All right, so now let's cover the cons. Remember that TruePlay thing I was just speaking about? That's actually a con, and the reason being is it only works for iOS devices, meaning Apple devices, which is just crazy to me because it was such a good feature and really took it to the next level and was such an improvement from before and after that it just makes me sad. And it's just crazy that, you know, I don't know, maybe half the population doesn't even have access to that great feature with Sonos. I mean, that's an extremely big con. Now, don't get me wrong, it still sounds great without it, and you don't need it. But boy, at least for me in my situation, it would have really been a bummer had I not known about the TruePlay or used it. And as I go over, you know, more of the cons, it almost seems like this is an Apple product. I mean, that's a perfect example. Like, well, yeah, it works, and there's this really cool feature that really makes a big difference, but it's only available if you're an Apple user. Another big con is that it doesn't work with Bluetooth. It works with like Apple AirPlay and over the Wi-Fi, but a lot of the ways people are used to connecting a speaker is over Bluetooth, and Sonos doesn't have that. That just kind of reminds me of something Apple would do. Now I do get Sonos, you know, will say that, well, the sound you get over Bluetooth is not as high a quality of the sound that you can get over Wi-Fi, and that's a cool, great argument, but it'd also be nice just to give people the option in general. Another thing that reminds me of Apple is it's really expensive. And what I mean by really expensive is you could get technically a higher quality sound and speakers for a lower price. So really a lot of that value that you're getting from it and paying for is the simplicity, software, and ease of use. Another huge con is, you know, there's these new age sound formats. I think some people call them 3D sound and stuff, but Dolby Atmos is the one that works with Sonos. And it's a great format that is common for streamed things, but the way that you connect your Sonos ARC bar to your TV is through a HDMI port that has ARC or eARC, enhanced audio return channel. And unless you have a newer TV, you're actually not gonna get Dolby Atmos formatted sound, which you can make the argument, well, you know, just like regular like 5.1 surround sound sounds great and you don't need it, but unless your TV is gonna output that to the Sonos system, you're gonna have a difficult time getting that high quality Dolby Atmos formatted sound into your soundbar because there's actually only one HDMI port on the Sonos ARC, which again, just kind of reminds me of Apple, like, oh, we don't need a headphone jack, that sort of thing. But those are the big cons, you know, no Bluetooth, TruePlay only works with iOS devices, it's pretty darn expensive, and with Dolby Atmos, to have it connected the way I think Sonos envisioned it is you need a newer TV. Otherwise, you'll just get the old format that's not as good. And to be fair, there's a lot of content you're gonna watch that actually isn't Dolby Atmos. You know, some streaming services provide it, some don't, and it is kind of, I believe, the future. So you could say it's a pro that this is kind of, you know, future-proofing, at least for the near future. All right, so let's answer the big question, should you buy it? I think the biggest reason not to buy it is the price. It is pretty expensive, and I think that money spent might be better if you just upgrade your TV. I can imagine that this system costs a lot more than most people's TVs out there. So if you're looking to upgrade your media consumption, you're probably going to be better off spending the money there. But if that's not the case for you, and especially if you have an iPhone or a part of the Apple ecosystem and do really get value out of having things that work and just work well, then I do think you should buy this, because not only does it have that, it actually is impressive, really good sound. Like, I was not expecting it to sound as good as it did, which was a pleasant surprise. But if you are willing to put in the time and the effort to shop around and build a traditional sound system, then you definitely should not buy this. I think you'll be happier in the end result going that route. But I just don't think that that's most people. I think there's a reason why Sonos and these lines of products have been so popular, and it's because the general public, most people actually really do value the ease of use and simplicity of it and how it just works and works really, really well. And on top of that, like I've mentioned a few times, it's not like you're giving up a ton. Like, oh, if you do it this way, you're gonna have so much better sound. I don't think most people can even tell the difference between this high quality sound and some, really expensive sound system. Audiophiles that know what to listen for and have heard a lot of things, maybe they can. But the point is, for most people that do value that and don't want to put in the time, I would highly recommend the system. I mean, that's exactly why I bought this and why I'm so happy with my purchase, because great sound and it was super simple and easy. I hope this video provided you some value. If it did, please let me know by giving a like, comment, or subscribe. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.